So if the YouTube thing doesn't pan out within the next month, then I'm gonna give up and get a job like a regular person. The unspoken rule of chick flicks. Disclaimer, I am not a fan of chick flicks. Not in the slightest. I like one or two classic chick flick films like Sense and Sensibility, and well, that's about it. But otherwise, I'm really not a fan. The few chick flicks I have seen usually star a terrible person who the film thinks is relatable for some reason. And while I find most chick flicks relatively harmless, there are a few out there that I find morally corrupting. I'm looking at you, Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. Anyway, the phenomena I noticed doesn't really necessarily apply to chick flicks. It can apply to all sorts of different genres. However, this phenomena is far more noticeable in chick flicks, hence the title. So, what is the unspoken rule of chick flicks? Well, it is simply this. That everybody in the story will have a corresponding romantic interest that they will get together with by the end. If there is anyone left single by the end of the film, then they will get paired off in a sequel. This rule is almost universal fact. I have never seen, let alone heard, of a chick flick that did not follow this rule. It is expected. Now, there are several possible reasons for this, such as, over the course of history, women have, stereotypically, been more preoccupied with romantic relationships than men are. As it says in the Bible, God said that the punishment for humanity is that women will desire their husbands while being ruled over them. Men, on the other hand, would work from the sweat of their brow. In other words, women are programmed to be hopeless romantics while men are workaholics. I don't care if this isn't politically correct. All you need to do is look at your YouTube ads and see that this is true. That being said, I will acknowledge that I am painting with dangerously large brushstrokes. These are stereotypes, and exceptions do exist, even within the Christian community. Now, getting back on topic, it's fairly easy to discern the gender of an author just by looking at the male-to-female ratio in the story. If there are more men than women in a story, say 1 girl to 5 guys, then it was probably written by a man. In the realm of storytelling, male authors are stereotypically more concerned about the types of adventures his characters will get into, so romance is usually only relegated to the protagonist. The male author acknowledges that romance is important and exciting, but he does not regard it as the most important or exciting aspect of the story. A male author is more concerned about the what than he is with the who. If, on the other hand, there is a roughly equal ratio of men to women, then I would guess that the author is female. Even if the story at large is not about the romance itself, the female author subconsciously acknowledges that everybody has to end up with somebody, and so writes characters specifically for this task. Now, again, I will acknowledge that there are exceptions to this rule. Shows like Miraculous Ladybug and the film franchise of James Bond are a couple that come to mind. However, even in shows with a predominantly female cast, such as Sailor Moon, you will find that there is usually an army of male side characters introduced over time just waiting to fulfill the role of designated love interest. Look at Harry Potter and tell me I'm wrong! I suspect, in recent years, that some women are getting uncomfortable with this. While women aren't outright banned from writing, like in the time of ancient Greece, today's media is predominantly produced by men. I feel as though this is mostly due to the workaholic Adam principle discussed earlier. History shows that women don't obsess over their crafts the way men do, and the Bible itself labels it as a curse, a byproduct of a fallen humanity. And so, there has been a much greater push, especially by the feminist society, for women to have a larger role in the stories men tell, with such things as the Bechdel test coming out. Personally, I believe that the Bechdel test is inherently flawed, as it is only an indicator and acts as a diagnosis of a symptom to a much larger issue. And quick side note, the Bechdel test is so easily hacked. Seriously, all you need to do to break the Bechdel test is to have a brief snippet of 2 named female weather reporters playing on the radio. The Bechdel test by itself fundamentally solves nothing. The key issue in question is the portrayal of women in media. And I won't lie, some movies only include women for the sake of sex appeal. But I don't see how pressuring male writers to include more superfluous sexy lamps is the answer. The problem isn't the lack of women. The problem is how men think about women. And you can't solve that by backing men into a corner and screaming at them. Neither can you solve it by applying your own stereotypes to the male gender. And here's where I take the man's side. Modern media thinks that the way to empower women is to put men down. That's what a bully does. Men in pro-feminist media are either portrayed as dangerous or absolutely incompetent. It's kind of getting on my nerves. There are good men out there. They do exist. And putting down the entire male gender or neutering them isn't going to solve the issue. If you want men to respect you, you have to respect them back. Here, let's take a look at one of my favorite animated movies and look at Disney's Mulan. It's about a young Chinese woman who, instead of sitting back and doing nothing, joins the military and ends up saving China. But have you ever looked at how she does it? Most people forget that the reason why Mulan is a hero is because she's a genuinely nice person. She joins the military not to prove her rights or whatever, but because she wants to save her father's life. While in camp, yes, the odds are stacked against her, but she never complains. Instead, she just works even harder. And at the end of the day, it's her wits, ingenuity, and the trust she has built with the fellow soldiers that helps her save the emperor. No man is an island, and personally I think it'd be really stupid to exclude half of the world's population just because they have different reproductive organs. I'm just saying. Fire torches and pitchforks here. You know, I'm just so sick of this battle between the genders. Why do we have to fight? Yeah, some people abuse power. So what? God created Adam and Eve as equals, and from the beginning he intended them to work side by side. So if we want true equality between genders, I think the key is to first acknowledge our differences, then work to look past them. Good night, everybody. My feet are asleep. I can't think of anything else. Apart from, my foot! I hate... Why do my feet always fall asleep? Okay, I think it's passing. I should probably get closer, but my legs don't work.